You may have heard that I'm crabby and mean and all that. It's probably true, but I only get crabby and mean when you don't do what you're supposed to do. So here are the rules on this nice little orange sheet. Your first grade is going to be to read this, take it home, have mom or dad or whoever takes care of you read it. Y'all sign it, you bring it back tomorrow, and you get 5 points. It's that easy, okay? I'm not gonna go through all this with you, but there are a couple things I want to highlight about it. First of all, I am old-fashioned. I know that's hard to believe by looking at me, but I am extremely old-fashioned, and I believe that you learn best with paper and pencil. So over the course on today, I'm going to give you paper notes and homework, and over the course of the year, you're going to get a lot of that from me. Somehow you have to keep that organized. Now, I put in there, you have to have a 3-ring binder. If you have other strategies of keeping your work organized, I am fine with that, but you have to be organized. If I say get out the 16 notes, I am not going to stand here and wait 10 minutes for you to dig through piles of paper and find it. I want this organized, okay? You're going to learn better. We have a huge volume of material. You're going to learn better. It's going to be easier on everybody if you're organized. If you want to use a binder and don't have one, I have zillions. You are welcome to pick one up. If you need one for another class, take 2. I prefer that your math binder was your math binder, but again, that's on you. I'm not collecting and checking binders. So they're up here. I also have periodically rule-made paper. I have some that are slightly used, and I have some spirals up here also. If you'd like one of those, take it. Oh, first of all, did we all put our phones in the pockets? Whoa, 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 that's our school rule. Didn't you do it last period? Whoa, our school rule this year is every class period you walk in with phone and pocket. You're supposed to do that every period. So we're not going to take class time to do this. From now on, you walk in, slip it in the pocket, and go sit down. And then when I dismiss you, you'll go back over to the pocket, grab your phone, and head out the door. Okay, folks? This is an expectation from the principal. It's not a Mrs. Ford thing, but I expect you to adhere to it. So make sure that your phone is in the pocket every day when coming to this class. Okay. Second thing is, you may have noticed when I started class, I walked over and messed with my iPad. That's because I video every lesson, post it on YouTube, put it in Schoology for you. So when you're absent, guess what? You watch the video. And if this year's video isn't enough for you, you can go back and watch last year's video. Oh my gosh, you could watch lots of videos. Since this is my 43rd year doing this. That's on you though, folks. That's on you. We are not going to, we don't have time. This is an honors class. We're not reviewing. I want to answer questions for sure. Some questions. But absolutely not are we going to, I was absent yesterday. Okay. Take care of it. That's your job. Okay? So now we're going to talk about homework. Homework is different in this class than any other class you have. I had 4 kids go through this school. I personally have a lot going on. I do a lot of junk here at school. Just stuff. And I get that you're busy. My own kids, I know what it's like. You get out of school, and swim season was the worst. I don't have any more swimmers, but that was awful. And you guys that play football, you kind of got it made because your games are on Friday nights. These kids that play volleyball or soccer or swim, they got games on Tuesdays. So they get out of school, they get their team meal, they get on the bus, they go play the game, they get back here at whenever, and then they still have homework to do. I understand that. I have reduced the homework load, the mandatory homework load, as much as possible. But because I've done that, I expect you to do it. I don't have much tolerance for people who don't do the work. Okay, so here's how it works. Today, in a few minutes, we're gonna start, we're revamping this course, but we're starting still with the prerequisite chapter called P. We're starting with that chapter. Your book is a free PDF, it's posted in Schoology already, but I've given you notes, I use the guided notes. We're gonna start with chapter P. Today we're gonna start in with section P1. And if we get through it, we'll go to P2 and we'll just keep rolling till we get as much as we can. Tomorrow we pick up where we left off and we just keep rolling. When I finish a section, and they're marked in the notes so you'll know, but if I finish, let's say today I finish P1. I won't, but let's say I do. Then the P1 homework is due the second school day after. So if we finish it today, the homework would be due Monday. That gives you a flex day in there. Instead of being due tomorrow, it's due Monday. If we finish it tomorrow, it's due on Tuesday. If we finish it Monday, it's due on Wednesday. You got the hang of it, right? That's how it works. Now, someone's gonna say, but Miss Ford, what if it's assigned today, but we don't have class, so it's due on Monday, but we don't have class? If that bothers you, then turn it in tomorrow. Otherwise, get it to me on Monday. You may not have my class, but you can walk in here before school or after school and put it right back there in that yellow plate. See that yellow plate back there? That's the home. Anything you want graded in this class goes in that plate. Look, it's the first day of school and I'm already a mess. Anything you want graded goes in that plate, and I promise it won't get lost. So, it's your lunch period. Gotta get my math homework turned in. Just come right up, turn it in. If I'm teaching, it's okay. Kids will walk in during your class. They'll just walk in, walk back, put it in a plate, and walk out. It works. It works. If you can't manage that or don't want to manage that, then turn it in the next day. Just get it done. I'm giving you that flex day with no penalty to try to help you, not complicate your life. Okay? The homework has been, no, that's not your homework. The homework has been minimized to the bare minimum. This is the least we can get by with and get adequate practice. So this is the chapter P homework. This is the whole thing. P1 is the first page. P2 is the second page. Each section is a page, front and back. When you complete P1, front and back, you'll rip it off and turn it in. And then when you complete P2, you'll rip it off and turn it in, page by page. Okay? You can always turn homework in early, if you wish. There's no, I mean, obviously that's fine if you know how to do the stuff. It's due at 3:20. I'm not one of those teachers that says 11:59. No. It's due at 3:20. So come by after school. It's due and oh my gosh, I haven't turned it in. Just run in, turn it in real quick, and you can still get to practice on time. If you know you're going to be absent, or if you happen to be absent, oh gosh, homework's due Monday, but I'm taking a college visit. Either turn it in Friday or take a picture of it and email it to me. It's due Monday. I don't care if you're here or not. Now, an exception might be if you are in the hospital or, something like that. But it's due Monday. Get it in so you can take a picture of it and email it to me. Now, the only thing about that is I'm kind of anti-technology. I mean, surprise. I'm anti-technology when it comes to learning math because I don't think you learn well that way. So everything we do is on paper and pencil. But if you want to turn it in electronically, that's fine. I don't accept Schoology submissions. I don't understand how to do all that. Don't mess with it. Take a picture and email it to me. Full credit. There's no points deducted for that. I mean, as long as you've done the work and it's decent. The bad news is I don't grade it. I check through it, make sure that I don't physically mark what's wrong. You don't know what's right or wrong. So you will have to check it yourself if you submit it electronically. If you submit it by hand, I'm gonna grade it, you're gonna know what you missed. The homework answers are always up here, they're up here right now. They're always up here. You can check them at any time. I don't care. Homework is for you to learn. If you've got a question, get in here. Look at that. This board, I still don't get it. Okay, I'll be sitting right here. I will help you with it. Okay? You get full credit. You might miss 5 problems. You might miss 8 problems in the homework. You're going to get full credit if you've given it your best effort. When you don't get full credit is when you copy somebody else's work or my work. I give you the answers, for Pete's sake. If all you do is copy them down, I'm not giving you points for that. If you do your own work and miss a whole bunch, it's okay, as long as you've made a good, valiant effort. Okay, so does everybody understand how the homework works? All right, let me hand that out, because I haven't done that yet, right? So let me hand the homework out to you. Now, I will post the homework and notes in Schoology. If you lose yours, print new ones. If you've got your notebook and your organizational system going, you won't lose yours. But if you do, just print new ones. The book is free. Free PDF posted in Schoology. I've given you a notebook if you want one. I've offered you a spiral notebook if you need that. So far this course has cost you 0. Book is free. You must have a graphing calculator. This is not an option, folks. You gotta have one, and you gotta have it with you every day. Are we gonna use it every day? Absolutely not. But we'll use it, and when I say, hey, get your calculators out, let's do this, you better have one. Okay? Now, those are expensive. How many of you already have one? Okay, I think almost everybody has one. If you don't have one, and your mom and dad say, whoa, 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 no, I'm not buying another calculator. Maybe you lost yours, and they're buying another one. Cathedral has a program where we do rent them, not rent them, loan them for the year. It costs you nothing. But you do sign a contract, and if you don't return the calculator at the end of the term, then you do have to pay for it. But if you need to rent a calculator for the year, or at least for the semester, let me know. Starting tomorrow, I'll have my calculator card up here, and I'll be renting those out. But most of you have one, so it's not an issue for you. That's great. Tomorrow, when you come into the room, you will sit where you want to sit till I learn your names, okay? So make sure you are sitting somewhere where you want to sit. I will be videoing this class often. I only video one honors class, but I video the first one, and A is the first one most of the time. So when I video, I'm kind of restricted to this board. So sit where you can see that board if you are a visual learner. Any makeup work, you miss a test, you miss a quiz, it's done either before or after school. So it's done during office hours or after school. Tests can't really be done during office hours. I mean, there's enough time. So if you want to take a test during office hours, you just tell me and we'll do it at 7:30. This board gets to school every day at around 5:30. I get my workout in and then I'm here. So there's no problem. You're not inconveniencing me at all if you say, hey, I need to make up my test tomorrow morning. Can I start at 7:30? I will say yes every time. Okay? It's on you to get that done, though. I'm not tracking you down. 0 goes in the grade book, and then the next office hours, you're expected to have it done if you miss a test or quiz. If before school doesn't work for you, then we'll do it after school. Make arrangements, okay? Okay. Let's see. I think I've hit everything. Gonna bring back my orange sheet signed tomorrow, and at that time you'll have questions for me, maybe, right? Okay. Alrighty. Let's get started. Let's get our notes out and get rocking and rolling here as far as we can in our short little period. All right, first number 1. This is prerequisite material. Chapter P, prerequisite. So this is stuff you're supposed to already know. Okay? So, what do we know about, okay, see how he just got up and put that paper in there? That's great. That's the kind of classroom I want. I want you to get up and sharpen your pencil. I want you, now, you can't leave the room, all right? We don't do that. But if you need to, you know, get something or whatever, go ahead and do it. I want you to talk to each other about math. I don't want you making weekend plans, but if you, what was she talking about? How did she do that? Help each other. That's what I want, okay? I'm not, you may have heard otherwise, but I'm not some kind of military general. I want you to be part of this wonderful experience. I also want you to be in uniform. Mr. Brady, what are we missing?
Where's that language?
I didn't bring it yet. I'll make sure we bring that tomorrow.
Okay, because I'm writing in a fraction. Okay, because you know the rules, you're a grown-up kid. Tomorrow, if you don't have it, you're going down to technology and buying one, okay? You've got to have your lanyard. Everybody else got one, man, they're hard to see with those green shirts. You got one on back there? Okay, all right. Okay, so I can't remember, what's orange? Is orange juniors?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so here we go. We're supposed to know all this stuff. What are the natural numbers? Who can tell me what the natural numbers are? Come on, let's participate. What are the natural numbers?
1, 2.
Yeah, they're the ones that when mom was teaching you how to count, I'm a little prejudiced toward mothers. Could have been your dad, but when somebody taught you how to count, what did you naturally learn? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, dot, dot, dot. And then all of a sudden you needed a concept for nothing. And so they threw in the 0, and that became the set of whole numbers. And then all of a sudden you needed a concept for less than nothing. So they threw in the negatives, and that became the set of integers. And by the way, these are the definitions. These are the definitions. There aren't like word definitions for these. They're like rosters. Now that changes when we get to the rational numbers. Anybody know what the rational numbers are? Okay, decimals, fractions. Now, we gotta be careful because it's not all decimals. They're kind of a requirement to be rational. Anybody remember what the requirement is to be rational? You have to be repeating or terminating decimals. And if you're going to use some of you said fractions, and you're right, rational fractions, the two words kind of sound the same, but they are fractions, A over B, where A and B are integers, and B is not 0. One of the hardest things about math is the vocabulary and the notation. Do not be scared. Anything of the form A over B, where A and B are elements of the set of integers. So in other words, A and B are coming from this list, but B cannot be 0 because you know you can never divide by 0, right? So both of these definitions are fine. Some of you said decimals, so this would be the decimal definition. Some of you said fractions, so this would be the fractional definition. Okay, so what's irrational? And please don't tell me it's any real number that isn't rational, because that's true, but that's really a crappy definition. What are irrational numbers? Okay, so examples would be, so for irrational, now this isn't a definition, but some examples would be the square root of 2, the square root of 17. Yes, those are irrational numbers. So what is the definition? What makes them irrational? What happens if you type the square root of 2 into your calculator? Does it come up as a decimal? Yeah. Does that decimal repeat? Nope. Does it ever stop? Nope. So what's an irrational number? A non-repeating, non-terminating decimal. Non-repeating, non-terminating decimal. So what's the most famous example? Usually somebody's mentioned it by now. Pi, yeah. Pi is your most famous one. There's another one you studied last year. Anybody remember it? Euler's constant, E. Where did you see E? The base of the natural logarithms, yes, 2.718, blah, 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 blah. That is another really well used, often used irrational number. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, if you take all of these guys and all of these guys and put them together, what do you have? Well, you have every decimal in the whole wide world, which is otherwise known as the set of real numbers. That's right. The real numbers are all of the rationals and the irrationals put together. All of the rationals and the irrationals put together. Now, maybe last year, for the first time in your life, you ventured outside of the realm of real numbers and you wandered into this kind of weird thing called imaginary numbers. Where did they generate from? How did you come about or get imaginary numbers? You took the square root of a negative number. The square root of -1 has a name. It's called I. I is called the imaginary unit. And any multiple of I is called pure imaginary. So pure imaginary numbers are Ni, where N is a real number. So root 7i is pure imaginary. -13i is pure imaginary. Any multiple of I is called pure imaginary. Most of the time, we don't have pure imaginary numbers. Most of the time, they are combined with real numbers, and you get things that look like this. That is called a complex number. That is called a complex number. So a complex number is anything in the form A plus BI, where A and B are real, and I is the imaginary unit. Somebody's getting a lot of messages up here. This is the set of complex numbers. Every number in the whole wide world that you've ever experienced and will experience in this class is complex, because if we let B be 0, what do we have? A real number. If we let A be 0, what do we have? A pure imaginary number, right? So we can generate all of the numbers fall in this category depending on your values of A and B. All right, quickly, part 2. Which number sets do the following belong? List them all. -7, what is it? It's an integer, which automatically means it's rational, which automatically means it's real, and automatically means it's complex. So it's an integer, it's rational, it's real, and it is complex. How about the square root of 32? Irrational, which means it's real, and it's also complex. Remember, every number we look at is going to be complex. Okay, 6. Whoa, 6. 6 is everything in our list except what?
Pure imaginary.
It's not pure imaginary, and it's not irrational. Otherwise, it's everything. 6 is everything except irrational and pure imaginary. Square root of -4. Pure imaginary and complex. -2/3. Rational. It's a fraction. It's rational. That makes it real, and that automatically makes it complex. All right, quickly, our properties, I don't wanna dwell a ton on this, but this is prerequisite knowledge, this is stuff we just have to know. What does commutative mean? It's a property of addition and multiplication. What does commutative mean? Commutative means you can switch the order, So A plus B equals B plus A times B equals B times A. So remember, commutative is an order thing. If the order is involved, it's commutative. Notice there's no N in that word, so please don't say commutative. There's no N in the word. Okay, associative, what is that? What happens with associative? It's not the order, it is the grouping. So if there are three things, notice the order did not change. Would you agree? It's ABC, ABC. What did change was the two that I added first. So the grouping changed. That is associative. That's associative. Sometimes people think anytime parentheses are involved, it's associative, and that is not true. For example, consider this. Is that a true statement?
Yes.
100%. It is not associative. It's commutative. The order changed. The grouping stayed the same. A and B are grouped, but the order changed. So be on the lookout for that. Identity. What do we mean by the identity properties?
Number stays the same.
Well, yeah. So what happens when you add 0 to a number?
Stays the same.
Stays the same. It's identical. It maintains its identity. A plus 0 is A. A times 1 is A. So 0 is the additive identity and 1 is the multiplicative identity. A times 1 is A. A plus 0 is A. Inverse. What's happening there?
You make them all negative.
Well, if it's an additive inverse, inverses cancel each other out, okay? So as we go through the year, inverses are a big piece of it. Inverses, inverse functions, inverse anything, cancel each other out. So A plus the opposite of A equals 0. A plus the opposite of A equals 0. That's the additive inverse property. 7 plus negative 7. So Bryce said make them negative. Now, that does not work for multiplication. How do you cancel each other out in terms of multiplication? You multiply by the reciprocal. We call it the multiplicative inverse, but it's the reciprocal. So A times 1 over A is 1. Additive inverse is the opposite. Multiplicative inverse is the reciprocal. Distributive, everybody remember what distributive is? The neat thing to remember about distributive is, guys, certainly if you had this, you'd all do 2x plus 2y, right? I mean, you've done that since you were like 6th grade, okay? Yes, that's distributive. But, did you know that this is also distributive? In other words, factoring is the distributive property. It goes both ways. So anytime you factor something, you're using the distributive property. Trichotomy, you have probably not heard of that before. It's a math formality, and since we're kind of getting to be bigger math kids now, you gotta do some of this more formal stuff. The trichotomy simply says that if you are given any two real numbers, and this is a real number conversation, so if you are given any two real numbers, given two real numbers, A and B. Either A equals B, A is less than B, A is greater than B. Now, I know you're looking at me and you're saying, seriously, Mrs. Ford, we have to discuss this? I mean, isn't that pretty an obvious statement? If you have two numbers on the number line, A is either to the left of B, to the right of B, or right on B, right? That's it, that's called the trichotomy. Yes, we're discussing it, that's called the trichotomy. All right, quickly, what are the properties shown here? Let's see if you picked up on any of this great stuff. A, what's happening, what property? Additive identity, make sure you qualify it with either add or multiply, you can abbreviate. You can certainly abbreviate, additive identity. All right, what about B? Commutative addition. Commutative addition, so C-O-M-M-A-D-D, commutative of addition. C. C? Associative multiplication. Associative multiplication. What happened? We changed the grouping, right? Changed the grouping. D.
Inverse.
Additive inverse. E. Multiplicative inverse. You don't have to write out that big hideous word. Mult, I-N-V. Multiplicative inverse. F. F is commutative. Didn't the grouping stay the same? What changed? The order. F is commutative of multiplication. All right, we'll stop there. Pick up here tomorrow. Go team.